Hello, welcome to Tina McDonald's Counselling Conversation. This conversation is going to be around something that's all over social media and the news, and every time you turn anything on, there it is, the conversation around it. So I thought it might be helpful for us to just be curious around it and open it up slightly. And the subject is Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, or as social media has coined it, the skinny jabs. Makes it sound quite simple, risk-free, all you have to do and it will all be well. And in many cases it is. But let's not forget that actually this was developed with those of a BMI of 35 or more. To the NHS, when they are prescribed, we're looking at a cost of roughly about £3,000 per patient per annum. The drugs have been developed strictly under the guidelines of the NIC, and of course, when they are given on prescription, then they are done so with strict medical supervision. So, whilst absolutely there is a lot to be said if weight is an issue with your health, but if weight is an issue with your health and there are other underlying implications, perhaps it's the medical side of it that I am a little bit worried about that's not really being looked at. So, for example, deaths. There have been deaths reported because if you don't have a BMI of 35 or more and you are taking them, they are going to impact your system. So we also on social media hear about Ozempic face. So the kind of the research behind that would show when you are losing weight through an injection, it's taking both muscle and fat from your body. And so if you are not supervised in the background and you are not replacing it with a healthy diet as well as taking the drug, it's not a quick fix, or it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to quieten the food noise in your head so that you can then look at your relationship with food whilst you are supporting your health needs. So Ozempic face is because it's taking away muscle, which is actually quite a dangerous thing. And then there are some dentistry issues that seem to be talked about as well, in the fact that because your body is basically drying out because of the way it works with your system, your teeth are impacted because there's not enough fluid in your gums and the way your mouth works. Contraception. If you're being sick all the time, you have to be very careful with your contraception. If you're taking oral contraception and you are continually being nauseous or sick, then you have to worry about your contraception. Also, we need to look at the fact nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, the flip-flop in between all of it, that they are exhausting. And so tiredness is a real issue with people who are taking this when they have a BMI that's under 35 and without any medical support. Also within this, because it's not being given through prescription, if you have an eating disorder, there is also lots of research that might suggest that that in turn also has some dangerous aspects to it. Because if you're binging and you're being sick anyway with your eating disorder and also with the food noise. Lots of people report that by taking some of these injections that actually the food noise quietens. But obviously from a counselling perspective, you don't then hear what they're saying and you're not then quietening them down by actually having a look at what they're telling you. Why are you eating? What gap is it filling? What is this relationship with food about? And so these are also, implications to have a look at. And then there are your nutrients. If you're not wanting to eat or you're not able to eat, lots of people talk about only wanting to drink things. And so if that's the case, then you need to look at protein, especially if you're using muscle, and also your vitamin B12, your iron deficiency, magnesium, all of the things that you might not be able to offer yourself if you are on such a restrictive access to food, not because you're trying just with a healthy diet, but because you actually can't physically eat, because that's the point of what the weight loss drug is. And so also the other side of all of this is that you're doing it alone. In the comfort of your own home, you are going to place a needle inside your body. No medical support. If there is an issue, needles do break. You know, there are all of these things that are then impacted, but you don't have medical support because you're taking it from the internet. It's not a doctor. It's not a regular appointment. It's not checkups on how it's happening. And so, yes, that would be a concern. I absolutely understand. Somebody with weight myself, I understand that the draw of a quick fix might well seem the answer. But what happens long term? What happens long term when you stop taking them? We know already from the small, short research that's gone on that most people put on 2/3 of the weight that they lost within 12 months. And so again, your body's doing probably what you've fought with for years, putting on weight, losing weight, instead of actually accessing what is my relationship with food and how does that look? How does that fit into my life? Where is exercise? All of those things. I don't have any answers in this, and this is all just me kind of surmising and running through out loud. But I do wonder what long term, something that you're buying on the internet because it's not meant for you medically, because you are not at that point. If you are at that point, then all the medical support is there for you and you are able to access this as well as the injections. But without that medical support, I think that's quite a scary place to be. What do you think about it? Leave some comments. It's always helpful. And that's why I do the counselling conversations, because this is really just about me being curious out loud and hoping that it'll start a conversation that otherwise might not have started. And talking's a great thing. I'm a counsellor. I believe in talking. And so I just thought, with it being everywhere, it's so interesting to hear people's stories, people's thoughts. Let me know what you think. How's it impacting you? How is it not? All of those things. And again, taken lightly, just with some curiosity, never with judgment, and just my own kind of waffling about it. So as always, thank you for listening to the end. Take care, and please like and subscribe. And remember to give me some other subjects that you might think it would be helpful to have a conversation around. Take care. Sending love. Bye-bye.